there's so much that goes on. Lighting rigs, we don't have enough lights because some people believe that lights make their performance sound better. I sound better with more lights.
Welcome to another edition of Backstage with Jeff Bradshaw, brought to you by the Arizona Jazz Festival. I hope you guys have been watching the past episodes, man. We've been really having a great time talking with some of my great friends and legends. Today is no different, but today is something different. Today, we're bringing you back, really bringing you backstage. Literally, we're pulling the curtain back, and today is a very special episode for me. Today, I get to introduce you to our producer. We're taking you really backstage, uh, where the magic happens backstage. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing our producer, the incredible Tony Clarke.
Wow. Well, here's the crazy thing. You said where the magic happens. There's not too much magic that goes on back there. If there was magic, then wow, that intro, I'm overwhelmed on the fact that you think there's magic. There's a lot of praying. There's a lot of praying and begging in some cases. Yeah, in most cases. In most cases.
Good. Well, today we're going to get into that. Today we're going to talk to people about what indeed is magic. If things don't happen right backstage, or if things are not organized the right backstage, people don't understand it. The shows don't go off the way they go off and happen the way they happen without people in charge and the crew and the person who's like the quarterback of it all backstage, which is the producer, which is you, the great Tony Clarke. So before we get into a lot, I want to talk about Tech is back, man. People don't know we're friends. You're like a big brother to me. I've played on many festivals, but we've grown to be brothers and family over the years, and I've been blessed to play a lot of festivals that you are the producer of, and Arizona Jazz Festival being one of those, one of the big boys.
Yeah.
How did you know? How did you get into music production, and how did you know it was something that you really wanted to do?
Well, it was a really interesting thing because I started my career out as a musician, which most people in this industry, in some way or another, start their career. They start out playing an instrument, and then they realize that they're not that good at it, or they realize that the money, the money is not what your family needs to survive on. I started my career as a drummer percussionist with a well-known keyboardist and learned a lot. I will not mention names in any of our conversations to protect the innocent. I learned a lot, good, bad, and the ugly. And I basically went to, I would call, um, it's a one-on-one situation. Is this a family-oriented show, or can I just?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I could just talk, right? I mean, I can when I can.
Well, he's going to. No, you can't curse, but you definitely
Okay,
can't curse.
okay,
Yeah, but it's definitely a family show.
okay. It's a family show, so the kids are sitting around the campfire. So, ultimately, what happened? I realized that there were better drummers, better percussionists, and had better opportunities. So, me being an overly organized, anal retentive person, I then became a tour manager. And I started watching other tour managers and learning the craft and going, wow, this, I can really elevate myself by in putting some of the skills that I have, some of my skill sets, some of my street skills, some of my um, neighborhood skills to make things happen. I often tell individuals that I am a hostage negotiator instead of a festival producer because there's a lot of negotiations that happen. And I had a great opportunity on a festival down south in Georgia to start as a production manager. And oddly enough, that blossomed into me becoming that festival's producer. And during that time, I learned a lot. I spoke to a lot of people. And I was just a vessel so that a lot of the experiences that the tour managers, production managers, and agents gave me, I learned from that. And what grew into it was a level of comfort, not only for the agencies, but artists. I've been told that once an artist or an agent sees my name on a production schedule or a deal memo, then they are very confident that things are going to go well. But sometimes they don't, and that's where I have to become that hostage negotiator.
People don't understand it. They don't understand that the hostage negotiation part is like, man, sometimes we as artists, and I'm gonna say me, but sometimes we as artists need a little nudging backstage when things aren't necessarily the way they want them, or things don't always line up, perfectly for the festival or the artist, and that's when you need the negotiator to come
Right.
in and say, "Hey, man, it's 30,000 people out there, and I'm sure we can walk and we can get past this." Thank you for that, man. I appreciate that. Tell me, let's people think that maybe I don't know what people's assumption is of what an actual uh, uh, festival producer does. Or maybe they think you're back there pushing buttons. I don't know, but can you describe a little bit in detail what your role looks like during a festival weekend?
Well, I will liken it to being an airplane pilot
Mm.
because you have to make sure that you, as a pilot, do pre flight checks. And my pre flight check is um, we begin a festival weeks before that festival. I mean, especially if you're going to a vacant lot. We have to worry about permits. We've got to worry about building. We have to deal with weather. We have to deal with labor. We have to deal with labor and catering. There are certain locations that we have to deal with labor in labor unions. We have to deal with power companies. We have to deal with transportation companies. And sometimes we have to deal with neighborhoods because oftentimes the festival has to go to a neighborhood and say, hey, we're going to be operating a mile from here. Um, there's you're going to hear a lot of bass, with our jazz and R&B shows,
Right,
heavy low end. My country shows, not as much. Um, but we make friends with the neighborhood. I've had some cases where the neighborhood has taken us to court to block us from operating a festival within their space. Uh, so
wow,
so there are a number of things that happens before actual festival day. Festival day is maddening. The team that I've uh, God, I can't even imagine not doing this without the great team that I have that works alongside me. There's no
yeah,
one that works for me. Work together. Just as I said on this plane, there's a co-pilot, there are flight attendants. There's the fuel guy.
right,
What happens? What happens? We all have to be synced and in a line. Everybody has to leave their egos at the door and use their synergies and ideas
right.
because every day I learn something new. I have, there's not a day as a festival producer that I don't learn something. Like, hey, maybe we need to look at traffic patterns better. Maybe we need to talk to the chief of police about having police escorts because we do those kind of things.
Right.
Depending upon the artist. I mean, you've been in police escorts when,
Hmm. I
um,
have
when your artist is 30 minutes late for an event that's an hour away.
that
um,
part.
that is a very interesting thing. So um, before the patrons walk in the gate, there's a show. I call it my show before your show.
You're right. The show before the show.
Show before the show. Show before the show.
Right.
I mean, there's certain things like, hey, um, the outdoor kitchen, all of the propane has gone away, and we don't have hot food. Oh, or the patrons are not coming in as fast through security. So
Right.
you have an artist that says, well, I'm not going to play to uh 500 people when I'm used to playing to 1,000 people. And that's where you say, well, your contract said, 2 o'clock.
I'm so glad you went there. I'm so glad you went there because I was about to ask one. Like my next question was like because you're moving in that direction, I want you to give me one. In the middle of chaos, in the middle of chaos, and a lot of times, backstage at festivals there is chaos. And is there a moment? Is there one? And I know there are many. I know you have many. But is there one moment in the midst of chaos, one particular incident, and obviously these people will remain nameless.
Okay.
But uh, is there a moment in the was there a moment, and I know there is, when there was chaos and some kind of way you had to pull the rabbit out the hat on the fly
Oh,
and land the plane.
I mean, they're. It just seems like they're moments. They're moments in love. They're just moments that happens, and I've been told that I am a cluster beep beep fixer.
Right,
Because there are certain times when, and I do recall, I'll give you two incidents. One in which the artist came and said that they're not going on, and they're not going on. They've been fully paid, but the house, as I said, is half full, and they have been in the industry for 20 years, and they feel as they're being disrespected, and um, they're not going to go on, and there's nothing that you're going to do to make me go on. And his band's on stage, his band is ready to play, I've got my team ready, but he and I are standing at the bottom of the stage because the stage manager at that point has no control because the artist is saying they don't want to go on.
right.
And then that's when you call the negotiator, and it's, hey, you need to talk to this cat. So going over, and I said, hey, contractually this is your time, this is where you're supposed to go on, this is what we're supposed to do. And he said, we're not going on. So I said, okay, then what we will do is we will get your band off the stage, and this is a full pivot. I am now 45 minutes ahead of schedule, so you have a good day, sir, we will see each other in court.
Okay,
And I got 45 minutes more of stage time for the next act, and
right,
the next act being professional enough, they were there, so they went on early, and the crowd really never knew what was going on. uh
man.
the host went out, we did some giveaways, we some merch, told some jokes,
Mhm.
everybody was fine. Next act came up, and that artist we never saw again.
I've been there. I've been in situations like that. I remember saying, "Hey, Jeff, things are moving behind. Things are a little behind," which is that's just you're going to get that
Right.
when there's so many artists during the course of a day, weather, this, that. I remember getting those. Jeff, you have we had to cut your time a little, so you only have 30 minutes, and you're thinking like, man, I waited all year.
And
All
what's really
year,
sad
rehearsed
about that?
this for
I
this 50
remember
minute show.
remember
I worked
somebody doing
all
that
year
to
to
you.
get here.
I
And I,
remember somebody doing that to you.
and it was like, Jeff, yeah, we're gonna have to cut you to 30 minutes. Cut your time to 30 minutes. And in those moments, um, you're just like, okay, I'm gonna give them the best 30 minutes I got. I'm gonna give them 30, I'm gonna give them all I got in this 30 minutes. Because at the end of the day, the audience and the people who come to see you, they have no idea what's happening.
Right.
All they know is
Right.
you're one of their favorites, and you got to go out there and do what you love because we do love this. We don't just doing this just for money. Obviously, we have to take care of our families and all of that, but it's like you're doing it first because you love it, and we love this so much. And I remember coming up on 30 minutes. This happened last year. Coming up on 30 minutes, and I'm about to wrap up. I'm about to play my last song, and someone from the says, keep going, keep going. You have 20 more minutes. keep going, keep going. You got 20 more minutes, keep going. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's go. Whoa, whoa. It happens just like that. People don't understand. On the fly, those kind of things happen. Has there been anything that ever happened that drew you to a brink emotionally? Have you do you remember
Oh yeah,
any situations where you were in the back emotionally, and you were in the back and you weren't on stage, you were in the back, and something happened and it brought you to an emotional place where you like,
100%. I mean, every festival. No, it's really interesting. I always talk about this, and she will probably hate me for saying this, but the great Amanda Clarke.
hmm,
The great Amanda Clarke
would
has
be your
my wife.
okay,
Okay, but she's also my emotional support wife
okay,
because there are times where she travels to, depending upon the size of the festival, she will go with me,
mhm,
and she will go simply for the, hey, I need to talk to you. And when that's where I bounce off certain things, where that's where that emotional support comes from, because there are days when I will, and I'll be honest, there are days when I actually melt down, but only one person sees it.
I can't
And
even imagine you melting down.
yeah, that's it's
I
things
need 25 years. I cannot imagine you
things
melting. I can't
happen.
imagine you. I've never
I
seen you emotional, and
I
I've
had
never
an
seen you melt down
artist,
ever.
basically curse me out because their dressing room was not the size of another person's dressing room, and that artist and I were very cool. I mean, like friends, like eat at my house, hang out type thing. And they totally flipped the script, and this was early on. This is a while ago. Now I have one, I have no filter at this point. You can be burned so much to you like, oh, okay. But that really took me to a totally different level of wow. Out of all of the things that we provided you, the hummus, the extra security, the whatever,
Right,
police escort.
right,
They did that, and at that point, I actually left festival grounds and took a walk, and I found her and said, "I need you to walk with me," and she said, "Well, I can't do it right now." And I was like, "I need you to walk with me," and at that
yeah,
point, she knew exactly what that meant, and I just I went and I just said, "So, talk to me about our kids." And that was a whole deal. That I turned back around and went, and um that was that last time. That was the absolutely last time that I had that feeling of wow. There've been some other incidents
right,
that happened with like production companies not
mhm,
providing gear or the advance that we went through. People don't understand. I'm going to segue here for a second. People don't understand when artists arrives, there's an advance that's done. There are things that are agreed to way in advance so that when they show up, you provide those things.
correct,
Oftentimes, sometimes that advance changes and no one tells you.
right,
Um, Somebody in the band got sick. They're no longer playing that particular instrument because also people believe that you carry your instrument because you're the great trombonist, but you can't get a guy to carry a piano, or
correct,
unless if you're on a tour you may do that, but all of this stuff we bring in from a negotiated contract,
right,
and a lot of consoles, just so much that goes on, lighting rigs. We don't have enough lights because some people believe that lights make their performance sound better with more lights. So
right,
it's an interesting dynamic.
right, right,
Also one of the other things that I'm not gonna use the word hate, but
right.
I despise comps and guest list.
Oh, the comp list.
Comp list. Comp list. Comp list is the comp list is like kryptonite to me.
Sometimes those people can be. Um, sometimes I'm gonna say this and we're gonna move on. Sometimes people that get on the comp list, um, means, and for people that don't know what we're talking about, it's when your friends or your family members say, "Hey, I see you have a show coming. Can you put me on the list, on the guest list?" Okay, people, the guest list is what
Yes,
we're talking about. So
yes, you're my
people,
guest.
for people who don't know what we're talking about the guest list.
Right, the guest
The
list.
people that don't pay for tickets,
Right, the
the
free
people
ticket.
that are your friends, your childhood teacher, um, your girlfriend, your wife, uh, somebody who used to play in the band with you, who don't play in the band with you no more. Um, and so these are all amazing people. Sometimes they don't act like amazing people.
Right.
Sometimes they act like the artists.
Sometimes they believe they're the artist, and sometimes the girlfriend's girlfriend is like, we don't like
Girlfriend's
the seat.
girlfriend is those are the ones.
Right.
It's the girlfriend's girlfriend.
The girlfriend's girlfriend is, we don't like the seat we're sitting in, and you got to come move us. And the security guy comes, you know, it all filters back to the pilot. Who is this lady that says she's supposed to be backstage? And, crazy thing about a guest list, and I'll go on, we'll move on. Early on in my career, there was a young lady that seemingly got on the guest list. I put on the guest list. They called and said they're coming on the guest list. And I, as a, okay, cool. So during that time, artist is coming off the stage, and said guest walks up and hands him a piece of paper. The guest was an actual process server and served this artist coming off stage. And I was like,
That's gangster.
I mean, it was totally cool. It was totally crazy, but that move was like, wow.
Gangster.
Because they had been trying to serve this person for months.
Got on
And,
the guest list. I'm like,
and they just
who?
got on the guest list and got backstage. And it was, like, how did that happen? And
Man, that's so crazy.
it,
It's so
it was
gangster.
gangster. And I was like, wow, wow.
Slick though. Very clever.
I applaud their efforts. And it was just like, wow,
Very clever.
you
Very
know,
clever.
you know,
You done a lot. You worked and produced a lot of jazz festivals, a lot of festivals, period. For how many years now? How many years?
roughly 20, 25, 25. Yeah,
25 years?
25 years.
Um, what's special about the Arizona Jazz Festival?
Well, one, I like the challenge of building a city in the middle of nowhere. If anybody's ever been to the Arizona Jazz Festival, our operations team is unbelievable by taking a plot of land. And if you've ever been to Arizona, you know that it's a desert. Anything outside of Phoenix, Scottsdale, Glendale, Chandler, we're in the middle of nowhere. And being able to transform an area into a thriving city from our, not only do we have two stages, but we have a shopping mall, basically a shopping mall. If you look at, we have
Huge, man.
vendors, we've got a couple of hundred vendors. Then on one side, we have the food court. And
Right.
it's so wild that we're able, one of the greatest things that I think that was ever done, the owner of the festival hired this young man, Moises, and he is a dynamic architect and operational individual, where he draws out plans sometimes too well, to the very inch. So it's like, hey man, I need 20 feet, and when you say 20 feet, it's 20 feet, but you
Right.
might need 25. But building a venue in the middle of nowhere, and then standing there and seeing people who've come to the Arizona Jazz Festival for the first time marvel, that because sometimes people don't expect, people are finicky. People don't expect certain things to go well. They show up with the, oh, it's not going to be like I think it's going to be.
Right.
You're talking covered cabanas. You're like, well, they're not going to have that many food vendors. And they get there and they're like, wow, they've got ribs. They've got, I saw one cat, he's actually cooking oxtails. And I'm going, in this heat, but okay, that's cool. That's cool. You got a full Sunday dinner out in 109-degree weather. You eat it, you're
Correct.
fine. But you're talking a city that we construct over, a 10-day period,
Yeah.
in the the middle of the desert. And that is the awe of the Arizona Jazz Festival. Plus, we tend to produce an event that's like no other when you're talking about talent.
Right.
Talent is, you're talking about your Charlie Wilsons. You can see Charlie Wilson on one stage, and then right before Charlie Wilson, you can see the great Jeff Bradshaw,
Oh,
and full show, not the 30 minutes,
right, right,
full
right.
show, full show. Full,
Or whatever's required.
yeah,
You know.
right. 24 minutes. But that's the beauty of it, because you know everyone knocks the jazz fest thing, but everything that we do came from jazz. So whether you're seeing an R&B kid, at some point that was jazz.
Right.
So don't you get to see that. Like this year, it's I'm excited to see Al Green. I
Absolutely.
did one of my first events with Al Green in DC at Constitution Hall, and it was wild, just because it was Al Green, and it was Valentine's Day too, so it was just even extra special. Um, it's interesting that I'm able at the Arizona Jazz Festival to work with talent that, as a um, novice in this industry, I started my career with. You
Right.
know, Several years ago, we had Jeffrey Osborne, and it's one of my favorites. And it's just being able to sit there, because I never watch a show, which is I'm the mother of the bride, but I just want to see the bride go down the aisle. I will never see her married,
Right.
because of course I never watch a show because there's so much other stuff going on backstage. But seeing Jeffrey Osborne walk on stage, and when he woo woo woo, that was that moment. Um, that's the great thing about the Arizona Jazz Festival is I get to create what people imagine.
Right. What is it something that I mean you've done this for so many years. What is the I would say what is the moment that you look forward to? Like that like every single time, that moment that really makes you feel good every time. What is that moment that you look forward to?
As crazy as this may sound, the end of the night.
That makes sense though.
I have that the end of the night, and if anyone is out there has ever worked with me or seen me, I at the end of the night I stand on the stage and I look out at an empty venue, and I always say, I fooled them again. I fooled them again. I fooled them again. Because, again, as I say, as being a producer, there's a lot of prayer, there's a lot of luck, there's a lot of things that have to come together at once. Just one, and just to make it happen.
Yeah.
I remember I was doing a festival in Las Vegas, and I had two artists who were both chronically late. They were always late, and always they were having too much fun in Vegas.
Yeah, that's never happened before.
They no, so I'll just say that uh I kept calling that artist because I had his cell phone, and he said, I'm on the way, I'm on the way. And I was like, so is Jesus. When are you gonna get here?
On the way.
I'm on the way. So, and that was one of those pivots. It just flipping. I had to get an artist on early, and that artist said, "I'll go on early for an extra $1,000," because they knew they had me. I needed them to go on an hour earlier than their slot, but because I was out there, and they said, "I'll go on early for $1,000." And I said, huh, for $1,000 you'll go on early, but that means also that you're going to play 30 more minutes longer. And they said, oh no, I'll just go on early. I said, well, what's the use? I can go on stage and tell lies for that hour. But and then I just finally said, it would really do me a solid if you go on earlier. And just as that person was going on, the said late person arrived, uh just covered in fun,
Right.
and apologized, and the show went on. But I those moments are just incredible. that I go, wow, that, you know, there are no friends. There are no friends
Right.
when it comes to negotiations. You know, um, yeah, man. You know, I recall one of the first times that I saw you and I went, wow, because I'd never seen, you know, back in the day, you know, you see a trumpet player, you know, and I was like, wow, this dude plays a trombone, and he's not in a marching band. Unbelievable. And you know, that it's just like I said, it's always great to see your friends blossom.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that. Um, Before I close, um, if somebody wanted to follow in your path, if somebody because there are people who are interested in production, producing TV, film, TV, live concert production, and if someone wanted to follow your path, what would you say is the biggest lesson that they need to learn?
Adaptability. Adaptability, and there are no 2 days that are ever alike. And change is always something that will happen. Um, you know, and emotions get sometimes caught up in this, but as a producer, you have to be emotionless, because it is your job to make sure that the show goes on. So, um, you know, never hold a grudge, because I don't hold grudges. And always remember that, you know, you're there to create an experience.
Yes,
Anyone can put a show together, put artists on the stage, but from the moment that your patrons walk through the gates,
right.
experience has to be one of a kind. You know, and the crazy thing is that's what we strive for at the Arizona Jazz Festival, is having that experience where when you go to another festival, the first thing is they don't have what Arizona has. They don't have this, you know. And again, like I said, you and I do a lot of festivals, and seeing, and you tend to um look at being booked on those festivals as an artist because you know that you're going to be well taken care of.
Yeah,
As a ticket buyer, you look for that festival's lineup because you know that you're gonna see, you know, Muhammad and Keisha and Bobby and Dan and Sally, because everyone comes to these festivals not just because of the talent, but because of the community and the experience and the family. And that's, you know, that's what we create. That's what we look to create at not only just one festival, but that at the Arizona Jazz Festival. It's a good thing.
thank you,
Plus,
brother. I really
we got good
appreciate
plus we got good merchandise.
your great merch. Thank you, brother, man, for your wealth of knowledge and giving people an insight on what it takes to drive this bus, or as you say, fly this plane, because the Arizona Jazz Festival and the festival producer business is major, but the Arizona Jazz Festival is one of the big boys. And people get to see the face. People, I love the fact that we get to show people the face of the person who is actually flying the plane. You know, when you walk on the plane, sometimes you don't look in the cockpit. I do, because I look, I'll be like, in the name of Jesus. I walk by the cockpit every time I get on a flight. I get on a flight, I look at the cockpit, I'll be like, in the name of
That's
Jesus.
funny. That's funny because you I think there's a level of bias sometimes when you get on the plane. You want to like you look at the pilot and you're like, okay, cool, we're all right, we're okay, we're all right, you know. But then there's sometimes you get on a plane and you see the pilot and you're like, in the name of Jesus, all I want to do is land.
He look a little sleep, look a little
Yeah, I'm
sleepy.
gonna put my headphones
Look, he
on.
back there rubbing his eyes like he drinking the coffee like he. I'm like, come on,
It's
man.
like I seen Flight. I seen Denzel on Flight. I'm hoping that you're not that guy. You
No,
know,
no, we've been blessed to spend all these years we've been doing this, man. God has protected us, and God has truly protected us on these travel, all these flights, and we truly been blessed and safe. And I pray nothing but continued traveling grace and mercy from you, me, and all of our contemporaries in this business, that God hold these planes in the air and taking. Sometimes it's delayed, but it's delayed for a reason, and
hey
it ain't
man,
always.
I know that we were to see each other yesterday. Our
Correct.
paths were going to actually cross
Absolutely.
yesterday, and early in the day, I got the it's not going to happen because of weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
earlier this week, it didn't happen because of weather.
Weather. Yeah, man. Yeah.
God is in control. Weather
Yeah.
controls a lot of stuff. And and one thing the patrons I'll say is, don't be upset when the artist is not there. The artist has tried to do everything humanly possible to get there. Sometimes,
Absolutely.
we're at the mercy of
Yeah.
pilots.
And especially doing this podcast while on tour. This is my first one while on tour that I'm not in my home, in my living room. I'm actually in a hotel room, like doing what I
Oh
love. And
wow! I was
I
thinking
love
that great.
this.
I was thinking that great piece of art was in your name, in your living room.
But man, listen, thank you for your wealth of knowledge again. Thank you for giving people an insight on things that they think they know, what they may not know, and the hard work that goes on. Like you're like a conductor back there, and a hostage negotiator
And
that
brother,
we found
great
out today.
hostage
This was
negotiator.
awesome. But before we wrap up, a quick reminder as I do at the end of every episode. The Arizona Jazz Fest is happening soon with a lineup that includes Al Green, who we spoke about, Babyface, Charlie Wilson, Robin Thicke, Anthony Hamilton, Jeff Bradshaw, and more this year, November 7th through the 9th. If you haven't locked in your tickets yet, please, they have payment plans available starting at just $100. You can call 602-244-8444 and ask for Coco. She'll get you all set up. Trust me, you don't want to miss this year's festival. It is
And
going to be
and let me
insane.
just say this: please do not reach out to me for a comp.
Please don't call our producer, the great Tony Clarke, for comps. He does not have them and will not be offering any.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Me either, for that matter.
Yeah, I'm a friend of Jeff's. I'm a friend of Jeff's.
I'm a friend of Jeff's friend.
I'm
The
Jeff.
friend.
I'm Jeff's friend's friend. He told me to call you.
Thank
And
you.
tell him I'm here. Tell Jeff I'm at the gate.
Tell Jeff I'm at the gate. It's crazy.
He's on the stage. You can't get a message to him. No. Tell Jeff.
No. Thank you, brother. I
Thank you.
love you. I can't wait to see you November 7th through the 9th. I think I'm playing the first night. I think I'm playing November 7th. I think I'm hosting as well. I think I'm
Jeff,
hosting as well.
I'll see you like 13 times before November.
This is true. This is true.
I'll see you 13 times before November. In person.
This is true. This is true. Thank you for another episode of Thank you for being here for another episode with Backstage with Jeff Bradshaw. We had a great time talking with my brother, my big brother, our producer, the great Tony Clarke. Thank you for what you give. Thank you for what you do. Without you, many festivals and men like you would not be, these festivals would not be as amazing as they are. And it's because of what you do that they are. So God bless you.
Thank
Make
you so
sure you
much.
subscribe to the podcast, the Arizona Jazz Fest podcast. And we'll see you this year at the Arizona Jazz Festival.
When Mr.